You guys know me, the IDP Hunter. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm a writer analysis over at the Fantasy Six Pack and the RPO Football Show. My co-host is Jamie Perogue from the Going for Two and the Fantasy Six Pack. What's going on, Jamie?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm excited. We got an awesome guest today, so let's introduce him.
We have an awesome guest with awesome hair. I can't grow hair like that, Jamie, so maybe if we get done at the end, we can ask him about tips on that, okay? Let me tell you about our guest, okay? He's the lead analyst over at Player Profiler, okay? He's the head of content for Fast Draft, which is what we're going to talk about. Jamie, we've been exclusively in these best balls, right? I've been annoying you, calling you middle of the night, jump in these drafts. Well, he's the head of content over there, so I want to pick his brain. He runs a podcast. It's all over the place. Spotify, Apple, iHeart. It's called the Fast Draft Pod. So, we got to check that out as well. When he's not talking football, he's not talking rookies. He's talking dynasty, but he's also talking nerdum. He's talking about TV. He's talking about movies over on the other podcast, the Unbinged podcast. Mm-hmm. And without further ado, I present to the audience Jagger May. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Thanks for having me, man. I'm happy to talk Fast Draft, and it's funny. It's like I'm here to talk Fast Draft, but as much as to learn about IDP as much as possible, because like you boys are in them trenches. You're like a dime a dozen these days.
I wanted to get you, hyped up because you're our guest. But yeah, not only are we IDP analysts, we do the rookie profile with over 200 rookie profiles. So if the audience was to check that out on the Fantasy Six Pack. But I rank for Fantasy Pros. I'm a top 10 ranker every season. I think last year I was number 4, if I'm not mistaken. So we got the IDP content. I'm more concerned with you, Jagger. I'm very curious. I just want to pick your mind, learn the way you think with these best balls, and, get the rest of the audience to kind of rethink the way you think about best ball. So anyway, the site's here, FastDraft.app. That's the site. What I love about this site, if you're on your computer, you can scroll down. You can check out the ADP. It's constantly evolving, right, guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have that tool up there for now. And it's like the big thing for us with difference between, like the average best ball, like let's say Underdog, which everyone knows, is you're not drafting a full roster that you're used to. And of course, that's where we get the name Fast Draft, is because you're only drafting 6. And in most cases, you're starting 4. So just like with like any fantasy format, the less players that you have, obviously you want the higher variance and the higher upside. So you're going to care a lot less about like your Michael Pittmans or something they may not score, but at the end of the day, you still have a lot of room for unique builds. So it's interesting the variance that you can have when you only start 4, because whereas when you start a whole team, you can have similar type builds where you're like, I'm going to stack up on Bills and Eagles or whatever. With 4, you can't, you don't have stacks because of no QBs unless it's the Origins tournament, which even then you don't know about a stack because you're drafting ahead of the draft. And really, you can have exposure all over the place. And the winner, I'm going to say it's like the winning build, even more so than with, I say Underdog, you probably won't expect it just because there's that much variance in it. And I know like Matt Kelly's big on like just going all running backs and getting few receivers and yada, yada. I know with me, with switching this format, I'm a big wide receiver guy and a running back fader. And that's like going against my own philosophy a lot of times, getting more of these running backs because you need more of that consistent, easy points.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you that, and I'll open that up to Jamie too. With this Flex 4, for example, and it's really easy. You just go on the app. You got to put in your location, site, whatever, and you put your stuff in there. For the Flex 4. You're playing what, 10 teams, 6 round? You're playing the top 60. You got a choice of wide receiver, running back, tight end, 20-second clocks. Jamie, you got any type of strategy you go with, or you just go with the flow?
I try to take best player available. A lot of the times it's going to be wide receiver heavy, just like Jagger said. But I do like going after those tight ends that are like the number 1 in their offense, like a George Kittle, Brock Bowers. Even McBride is like their number 2 target in his offense. I even sometimes I think about going to Joku, but I never have yet, just because now he has Joe Flacco, and he's probably going to be the second target for Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Jagger, you'd be proud of Jamie because I pride myself on being a fast drafter, and 20 seconds goes by super quick. So he's like, dude, you got to set your rankings up. You've been the fastest drafter in every single one that we've done.
Yep,
So
usually takes like 1 to 3 seconds for my draft picks.
Yeah, it's impressive.
And I've been hitting the origins hard, and of course I'm going to move it to Flex 4, and like with that one, you're correct. It's having your rankings, and really you don't think about it because again, especially with a lot of these, you're not stacking because you don't have QBs or whatnot, and you've got such a limited roster that it's. If long as you set your own rankings, you should be more than comfortable doing best available. And that's like I know Matt, he's big on doing the bulk entry stuff, where you even get, and it's just by nature, you're going to have pretty high variance. And I won't say it's like lottery ticket because there is strategy and there are people you can avoid. But it definitely, it makes it easier for me to go against some stuff because like you said, you go wide receiver heavy. Normally what happens is like, I'll go wide receiver early where like right now the name that like, in best ball, I like to do like no matter what players. And I'm just learning from other people who just do best ball. It's like Dan Henry over at Football Guys just won a lot of money over from best ball. And he's just like, yeah, I just got Jamar Chase and Saquon Barkley. He's like Saquon Barkley's great. He's first time that he's on a team that will actually get him the ball and get him meaningful touches. I'm not even going to overthink it. That's where I'm at with like Puka Nacua this year, where I'm like, he was good last season. He was just injured. Matt Stafford's back. He's the guy. Cooper Kupp's gone. Will they draft another wide receiver? Maybe, but like Puka Nacua is a guy. So no matter where I'm drafting, if he's on the board, I'm going to get him. And with that mentality, just because like with Underdog, your draft slot is going to naturally give you your variance, if that makes sense. So like some of these guys, like if Puka's on the board, I'm going to get Puka. Unless I'm like 101, then I'm going to get Jamar Chase or something like that. And then the other one is like Ashton Genty. That's when I'll start getting the running backs, like the rookie running backs, especially now with Flex 4, a lot of value there. Like you're scrolling down now, Nico Collins should be behind Malik Neighbors and Amon-Ra St. Brown, probably. Maybe even Brian Thomas Jr. And we're not even looking at Genty yet. So realistically, you could get a buff wide receiver, maybe 2 wide receiver, and then come back and get a running back like Henry there. So like that's what I think is fun.
Yeah, and the Flex 4, I like having the 10th pick, just have that back-to-back. And then with the third round reversal, it comes right back to me. And I love that because I've been going with like a Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. stack. And then, you get like another top guy with your next pick. But when you said you did a lot of origins lately, how do you go about those? Like, because I know for dynasty rookie drafts, we're putting our 4th round, 3rd round picks, even on our taxi squads. Here, when you get down to like the 4th, 5th round, there's not really many players that might start. So who's some of your targets that you go after in the later rounds?
It's tight ends, man. They're still super cheap. Like I know Mason Taylor. I see him go all the time. Like I'm always in those tournaments, and I've been telling everyone Mason Taylor is the guy that you want here. Terrence Ferguson is another guy that you want. Even though Harold Fannin has had a fall, and like he was my tight end 1 until after the combine. We could see him get targets. It's not, and again, you're playing all rookies, so it's not like you're going out with an actual dynasty roster or full best ball roster and you're rolling out Harold Fannin as your tight end, but you are getting someone who's likely going to be able to touch the football. Whereas if you're going to go, I've seen Dylan Gabriel go. I have a hard time drafting Dylan Gabriel. Like it just, he's going to be a backup and he's got a limited skill set on top of that. So if I am going to go a different direction, a different position, I'll look at some of these running backs that you're going to hope has a spot, or I'm going to get Tyler Shugg. It's kind of the same scenario with the Flex 4. I'm going to go wide receiver early because I want guys that are no matter what format you're in, the set it and forget it, guys. Your Jeffersons, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, these guys that no matter what happens, unless there's like a major injury designation, they're going to be on your lineup. So these guys who are one injury away or maybe in a committee, I'm going to get those guys. So I'm not betting on some of these wide receivers. Like, let's say like Jaden Higgins. I don't like him as much as other people do. If you look at reception perception and what came out there, he had a terrible profile. I know he had Raz and whatnot, but that's not something I'm going to want. So in the late rounds, I'd rather pick up like a Damian Martinez, Bashal Tutin over these guys and get my wide receiver work done a lot earlier and then hit running back or quarterback even, because I forget we get quarterback in there. And then you just copy and paste kind of over to flex 4. It's the same thing, man. Like I just
For
said.
those that can't see my screen that are on iHeartRadio, welcome in. Apple Podcasts, welcome in. Spotify, welcome in. I'm on YouTube talking to Jagger and Jamie Rogue. We actually have 2 promos going on right now. Fast Draft, we have 100% deposit match. If you put $50 down, you'll get $50 back. Promo code Hunter. That's a game changer. If you're putting in these drafts, you got to double the chance of winning it. We also have the player profiler, $25 in, all-in package, promo code Hunter. Jamie, what do you get with the all-in package?
Oh, man, you get everything at your fingertips. There's a Dynasty Deluxe package, the DFS Dominator if you play DFS. There's draft kits, player rankings. My favorite is the data analysis. You can just dive deep into all these player stats and everything.
Sweet. It's all here for you.
I've been using it for 5 years now, and it's pretty much free because it helps me win so many leagues that it's paid for.
Heck yeah. You guys were talking about the Origins. We actually had one of those.
Yeah, I did my first one yesterday, actually.
Yeah, so I'll just read you the first round here. We had Genty 1.1, Ward 1.2, Hampton went 1.3, Hunter 1.4, McMillan 1.5, Harrington 1.6, Caleb Johnson 1.7, 1.8 Sanders, 1.9 Judkins, 1.10 Kabukin. I mean, is there anybody in there that you wouldn't take, or is that standard status quo for you?
The real standout, and this is me applauding that person, Travis Hunter going 104. That's balls, guys, and that's how you win. Like, I just don't think there's like a higher upside player that you can get on the tail end of drafts, because a lot of times I see Travis Hunter going towards the turn on the end. So applaud him. The only other one, I find myself not being able to click on Egbuka because I need a landing spot for him. A lot of people, he was a productive and quality receiver. He's a good football player, but for fantasy purposes, I think his usage matters a little bit more than what a lot of people are expecting. So for like Origins, a lot of times I'm going to let him fall, and I would even rather take, let's say, someone who's fallen a lot, like Caleb Johnson right there, before I would take him. I'm definitely going to take Shadur Sanders, who has fallen and people are getting weird about. Like, that's the only one, but for the most part, it's pretty scratch. You know, it's like, who are the people that are that folks are excited about right now in your dynasty drafts, and that's who's going. See, like Trey Harris popping out there.
Yep.
Trey Harris is going to be a 0 cares, 0 shares for me. I don't know how you guys feel about him.
A lot of it's so hard before this. Like, I'm excited about McMillan if he would fall there, as late as he did. But landing spots are going to be it for me. You go to the Patriots, hey, I'm excited. Go to Browns, maybe not so much. No offense,
Yep.
Jamie. Raiders, I have no idea. That's the question mark of the day. But the Panthers, Patriots, again, it's so hard with rookies in the beginning. Question for you guys: we were talking about flex, the flex 4. You guys were talking your best ball strategies for running backs. I tend to go wide receiver heavy. I tend to go those builds. My rationale is, hey, fantasy sports is more relevant more than ever. Wide receiver, get a wide receiver 1, good and plenty, high boom. Are you doing the same approach with this rookie draft, or are you just taking it as it goes?
I'm going chalk to rankings that I have here. If I like
Mhm.
you, I'm going there. As far as like naturally, like I said, I will get receivers early. I just don't think this is a deep receiver class. So
Right.
I'm not going to be digging in a lot of those trenches. You know, I'm not. I know some people are really excited about their guy, but statistically, the NFL is not excited about a lot of those guys on day 3. And yeah, they may be starters, but like it's the way I see Van Jefferson. You know, like Van Jefferson has been a starter a lot of his career or in 3 wide receiver sets. How many of you guys have started Van Jefferson in your fantasy lineup? You know, not a lot. And that's where I worry about towards the tail end. That's the only thing I'm doing different. Like to me, I think the Origins draft is the easiest draft because you just should go off the rookies that you think are going to get a job and are going to touch the football and be contributors. Don't get cute. I mean, you can get a little cute for the variants, but I mean, especially early on, I'm not going to take Jackson Dart and Origins in the first round.
Right.
I'm just not going to do that. Stuff like that, you know, like that's just. Will he go first round? Maybe, probably, but there's still just enough doubt for a QB that isn't locked that I would just rather have someone who is locked in. So that's the only big difference.
Jamie and Jagger, question for you guys. Going back to the flex 4 specifically, we're all seem to be going wide receiver heavy and often. Okay, I'm looking at the draft we did the other day, which is pretty much straightforward if you look at the ADP. Oh, I love this site, by the way. You look at tournament data, it tells on itself. You have the Chase, the Barkleys, the Jeffersons, Bijan Robinson, Puka Nacua, the CeeDee Lambs, Jahmyr Gibbs, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Ahmad St. Brown. Anybody in that first round that doesn't stick out to you or maybe shouldn't be?
I think Nico Collins might be a little high.
Mm-hmm.
I love Nico, but when I'm saying he's a little high, I just think he should go after other receivers. That makes sense. I would just take him after other receivers. The Texans are in a weird spot because they're competitive, but they are still a team who had the second overall pick 2 seasons ago. And we kind of forgot this last season's that the Texans sucked for a reason. It's not just because they didn't have CJ Stroud. So when you trade away Laramie Tunsil, who they should have, I'm not saying you shouldn't trade away Laramie Tunsil because he's a locker room problem. He's still a talented player. And you're going in a draft where you need offensive tackles, you just need offensive linemen, and there's a lot of questions among the tackles. That's just what's going to that little nugget is what will make me draft some like Malik Neighbors or some of these other guys ahead of Nico Collins. Like these guys are all good. You literally have to nitpick at some of these guys for a reason why they won't be as effective as some other people. And I don't know if I'm wild for doing that, but you kind of got to, you know.
And
Jamie, too, question in regards to the tight end strategy, okay? I'm looking at the tight ends on the board. Brock Bowers, that's a little too rich for me. ADP 13. That's around the David A. Chains at 12. Derrick Henry at 14. Ashun Gently, as you mentioned before, 15. Then you have the CMC, Jonathan Taylor, A.J. Browns between 16 and 18. I'm a little scared to take a tight end there. And same question for Trey McBride, pushing 16. Where are you guys taking tight ends at, or are you just punting that altogether and just going wide receiver running back?
well, like I said earlier, as long as they're like the first or second target in their team, I don't mind taking a tight end. I actually seen drafts where Bowers went in the first round, but obviously, I don't know if you know Biggs. He's a big, huge Bowers guy, Raiders fan. So he's been taking Bowers in the first round. So if he follows me at what I got him at 14, that's one pick after ADP. I don't mind taking him.
A lot of it with Bowers is just stop thinking him as a tight end. I know that's crazy, but like he was just the best. But Brian Thomas had a really good season, but like Brock Bowers was just the best receiver, just all around. Like he was the number one target after they trade Devontae Adams. Same thing with McBride. As much as we love Marvin Harrison Jr., I think he's gonna take another step forward. At least I hope. It was more McBride being the wide receiver one, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of being the 1B, the more of the T Higgins, if you really think about it, like go to make a couple of big plays, use them in the red zone. But who is Kyler Murray looking for a lot, or who are they scheming up for? And that's McBride. So it's just like, I probably would never take him in the first round, Bowers, but I would never fault someone for doing that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then I'm looking deeper. If I can just hang on, if I do decide to go tight end, George Kittle, ADP 41, TJ Hawkinson 69. I mean, depending that situation, they might be outright steals. But Jamie, to your point, Hawkinson's looking like the third receiver on that team. That might not be the best approach. Thoughts there?
Yeah, Hawkinson, man, and plus we haven't seen JJ McCarthy, so he's just gonna pepper Justin Jefferson with targets. And I've been fading Hawkinson in drafts. Like I said earlier, I drafted Njoku over him in one of my underdog drafts, and I've been thinking about doing it on the fast draft. I just haven't pushed the button on him yet.
Gotcha. One more question for you guys. Oh, Jagger, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was going to say on the tight end thing, what you're saying on Kittle. Another one we're not talking about is Tucker Kraft, because this is going all the way to dynasty as well too. Like I will take a tight end early. That's when I'll play the variance game. Like I need to get a little bit of McBride, a little bit of McBride, a little bit of Bowers into my portfolio. But a lot of these guys, if there's a tight end run, I don't feel the need like in previous seasons to go draft Sam Laporta. Because like what'll happen there is like Bowers will go, McBride will go, and I think Bowers ends up going a little bit too early, or Laporta goes a little bit too early. I'm just waiting on Tucker Kraft or Kittle, especially if it's not dynasty here. So I think if you're gonna go tight end and you feel the need to at least get one or some exposure, like you're getting Kittle with your second to last pick. There's a lot worse NFL players you could be taking there, you know.
Great take. I was going to ask you guys, well, this is kind of a two-parter. I was going to ask you, like, because we didn't really mention the turbos and the boosters this podcast so far. Do you have a strategy where you're putting them? And then also, we're kind of giving the audience a taste of these drafts, what they're missing out on. We talked the first round, but is there anybody in the deeper round, second, third, fourth? There's somebody that the ADP is so grossly wrong about that you have to have. He's a must-have in almost any draft.
It's funny you mentioned that. My next show is right after this. I'm doing must buy, and I think Najee Harris is someone that I just can't stop drafting, and that's every format. I just think he's a bargain right now. A lot of people hate Najee because he's a Steeler and he isn't fast. But I just think he's a solid runner, and the NFL really likes him. And now he goes to a team with a good rushing attack, and they'll even use multiple backs. Let's say they do get someone else. I still think Najee, he's just a better Gus Edwards at that point. And especially for this tournament here, Najee's someone I would get early and I'm taking Najee over Joe Mixon. Kenneth Walker went after Joe Mixon. That's wild. That's why. Okay. Like I'm seeing a lot that's just wild right now that I'm trying to comprehend and break down. Alvin Kamara is going too high. Like if there's any reason why you guys should hop in fast draft, is it's here right now. Cause we're telling you, it's so exploitable right now for you to have a solid lineup. It's crazy.
Especially on IDP, if you look at it right now. But I digress. Jamie, do you have something?
I just love that Najee take. I am looking now. I have 18.2% exposure to him, and my current ADP for him is 56. So he's almost going like undrafted in these fast drafts. So you could just take him in the last round. And I love that. Yep.
James Conner's going ahead of him, and I forgot who coined this, but it's the perfect phrase. It's not the player. It's the price of it. It's like, I get James Conner is useful. There's a lot of use for him, but you know what's super useful? Najee Harris in a Jim Harbaugh offense. I'm just like, and I think a lot of people get their fifis hurt about some of these players, and they stop thinking rationally of what actually is a value.
Yeah, that's funny that you said that, because Matt Kelly actually says that all the time. It's don't hate the player, hate the ADP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you're Kyron Williams, because we know how Podfather feels about him. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, if you get him at the right price, I'll take him.
Yeah, it's like even in Dynasty right now, I'm picking up Najee Harris as my RB3. I'm like, I could do a lot worse, at RB3.
So is there any players that you never leave the draft without, like, that phrase, my guys? Do you have specific my guys?
I gave you Puka, Garrett Wilson or Olave, and Tucker Kraft are my other three on there. Like Tucker Kraft, I'm getting an embarrassing amount of riches for, because they've even said it, like he's the tight end one now. The Luke Musgrave dream is over. I know what's his name, Mike LaFleur, or excuse me, Matt LaFleur has even said that they need to get him the ball more. He had a pretty solid season last year, especially for a tight end. I think that it's super easy for me to get. Another one, Chuba Hubbard. And maybe this is me overcorrecting. Chuba Hubbard was free money last year. He was free money. And I refused to see the sign. And now, even though his ADP has risen, I still think it's cheap. The Panthers have said, hey, we love Chuba. He's the longest tenured Panther right now. The state of Carolina loves Chuba Hubbard right now. I feel like we should love Chuba a lot more. Yeah, Jonathan Brooks is there, but Jonathan Brooks is lucky to come in as a 1B at this point. And that's after he recovers and probably won't be back until another full season. So he's someone I'm really trying to walk away with as much as possible.
And did I see on Player Profiler, Zay Flowers is one of your guys? Is that correct?
It's one of mine. Yeah. Zay Flowers. Everyone thinks he's boring right now. I still think he's neat, and he's still I love Mark Andrews, and he's a value that I like. But Zay Flowers is the wide receiver one, guys. And he's in a good offense, so I don't get why we think he's meh. Had someone who's like, I don't like the Zay Flowers pick as my wide receiver 3. It's like how many teams wide receiver 1s are you getting as a wide receiver 3? That's just hating.
Probably a Browns fan hating.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick,
Jamie, I'm guessing you're a Cleveland guy, right? Or you?
Unfortunately, yeah, I was born here, so
he gets ragged on around here. I mean, it's
Browns fan by default.
I never get the feeling to hug another man, like a grown man like that. When I see a Cleveland man, I was like, come here. Like, you guys deserve this.
Yeah. I make fun of the Browns more than other people, so I get it.
The last format I kind of want to go over is IDP. We have this D-Up tournament, which is bringing, I already kind of covered on the other podcast, so I'll go over it quick with you guys. But I've been kind of describing it, Jagger, like Mortal Kombat, or if you remember the Bruce Lee films, Enter the Dragon. You have the best of the best of the world. Everybody's in the same tournament trying to compete. Same format, same rules. You got a 20-second clock. You can draft whatever you want, 6 rounds, DL, LB, DB. So it should be whatever you want to pick, but not so fast. And Jamie loves it when I do this. Whenever you talk IDP, you always got to look at the scoring, because the scoring changes these players all the way around. So when you're looking at the scoring, sure, you're getting 1.5 for a solo sack. But let's dig a little deeper. Let's peel the onion a little bit. You get 6 points a sack, right? Wrong. Got to add up all that. What happens when you sack the guy? You get a tackle for a loss. So tackles for loss in this are pretty generous with 2. So now you got 8 points. What about the QB hit? You get another point. So now you're getting 9 points for that sack. Not so fast, Professor. When the guy goes back, there's a thing called sack yards. You're getting 0.10. So that's another 0.5, 0.6. So you get a 9.6 play every time your guy makes a sack. The only problem with sacks is it's a very fluky thing to do. You can't – it's like touchdowns, I guess, on the offensive side, guys. It's really hard to predict. So you got the top 60. You might as well go after some elite defensive linemen, but careful with your portfolios, because you got to have something solid. Give me that 3-down linebacker, maybe later on or in the middle of the drafts, whatever. Give me somebody that I know I'm going to have points with, because week to week, this thing will kill you. And I imagine the turbos and the bonus stuff is going to play into effect, not to mention the injuries. We haven't spoke about injuries. If these guys make it through, 6 solid guys healthy, and Jamie, you only have 2 or 3, I got a fighting chance, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's like IDP from what I've gathered, especially with this format, like your D linemen, they're like your Giambis, you're just your heavy hitters, and then like with your linebackers, you have your Jeters, where like you just need somebody who's going to consistently get on base, and you don't always need to swing for the fences, and that's what's going to feed your family every week, and then the sacks are kind of gravy on top.
And that's a good point too, because you got to understand your rationale. Do you go elite DL first and linebacker later, or do you go elite linebacker first and then get the other guys later? Because Jamie did that on the last draft we did. I'll show you a little bit of that here. But he went, well, why everybody else is over here fishing for trout? I'm gonna go over here and get the goldfish, right? Mm-hmm. But ideally, my strategy is I'm trying to get an elite defensive lineman. But I'll show you what. I'll show the tournament data here. Here's your top 10 generally. Tell me who you think maybe doesn't stick out for you. 1.1 Micah Parsons, 1.2 Aiden Hutchinson, 1.3 TJ Watt, 1.4 Myles Garrett, 1.5 Trey Hendrickson, 1.6 Max Crosby, 1.7 Zaire Franklin, 1.8 Nick Bosa, 1.9 Will Anderson, 1.10 Jared Verse, and that's most drafts, give or take the ADP. And I love how the ADP is constantly changing and evolving, because it wasn't like that when we first started, right, Jagger?
Yeah. And when you talk about outliers, and this is me asking you more of because you're the IDP guys and I'm the student here. The red flags, Trey Hendrickson seems like the red flag, and Nick Bosa seems like the trap there of like the 2 guys that I probably want to avoid. And then my big question too is, where do you think about like these hybrid defensive backs like Kyle Hamilton and stuff like that? Where do you start drafting them? Is there like too early for that? Obviously first round, but let's say like on the second round or something over someone, let's say like Roquan Smith or something like that.
So good question. With the DBs, for the most part in these drafts, really the Brian Branches, the Kyle Hamiltons, the Derwin Jameses, I understand the rationale than getting that top 60 linebacker, get those guys in there. But outside of that, honestly, I don't think it's worth it. I'm kind of punting that position. Let me just give you my rationale. Like I said, I rank for Fantasy Pros. So I'm going to go back to 2023 because it's on my mind. Javarius Ward was like a nobody. He wasn't drafted anywhere. He was DB 20 on the season with 161.8 points. Jabril Peppers finished DB 46. So you got DB 20 to DB 46, 139.8 points. What's my point here? What's my point to this? It's a 1.2 per game difference. So defensive backs, for the most part, most formats, you're punting those guys. You have better luck trying to catch and trying to find a third down linebacker than you would defensive backs. With the exception of those elite guys, I will take a shot on a Hamilton. I will take a shot on a Brian Branch. In those later rounds, if there's guys around that line of like the Cody Barton types, that's when I'll do it. And what was the other question? I forgot.
Well, I was in our league that we did together. Brian Branch went in the 3rd round. That just seems way too early. When Kyle Hamilton, he went in the 5th, and then I ended up getting Derwin James in the 6th round.
What was the other question, Jagger? I couldn't remember.
I mean, that was about it, because like I get what you're saying on the like cornerbacks, especially, mind you, this is best ball, so like I can't see the need to draft a cornerback that's not a nickel, at least. Like you said, Brian Branch is a nickel safety or something like that. I wouldn't see a need to do that at all. Like Cooper DeJean would be the only cornerback I would even consider. But for best ball, like you basically have your super safeties, and then that's it. It's just D linemen and linebackers. Because like, what's the variance of an interception? It's wild. I don't think there's ever been back-to-back interception leaders.
No, No, well, Buda Baker and Derwin James are the exception to rule as far as scoring goes, but it rotates every year like a dart throw. It's not a good investment to do that. But DL is the way I'm going in the first round. And like I said, this is a general example of what we did with 1.1 in this one, TJ Watt went, followed by Micah Parsons, followed by Max Crosby, followed by Aiden Hutchinson. Myles Garrett went next. Then you had Trey Hendrickson, Nick Bosa, Zaire Franklin. There's always one, right? Got to have your top linebacker, understandable. Will Anderson, Jared Verse. The outliers to me, like you said, Trey Hendrickson, hey, you're getting traded. You're sack dependent. Jared Verse now is another one that kind of scares me a little bit. He only had 4.5 sacks last year as a rookie, but he has the metrics. He proves he can get there.
The pressure.
Yeah, the pressure's there. We would think, if everything stands to reason, he'll get there. And those are the guys I'm looking for in my drafts early. If you're going linebacker, I get it. It's your priority. But I think elite defensive linemen dry up quicker than your run-of-the-mill linebacker. So that's what I've been doing in these drafts. I've been gambling that later on in these drafts. And you can see the rest of the board. There's guys like Jordan Brooks that make it like the 5th round. There's guys like Bobby Wagner that make it in the bottom rounds. You guys, you don't need elite linebackers to win leagues. All you need is volume out of that position. And again, a 3-down linebacker is going to beat that super talented guy that's only on the field one down, right? Because 3 downs to 1 down, you have more chances to make a tackle. But yeah, you don't need an elite linebacker. Let me just prove it to you, okay? I pulled PFF numbers for this episode, okay? I pulled PFF. I guess where I go to school, GPA if 70 or higher is passing. In the whole entire NFL, there was only 12 players in PFF that had a coverage grade of 70 or more. So what does that tell us? Linebackers get yanked. Linebackers aren't necessarily elite for that 3rd down passing play. So a lot of them have the potential of being a 2-down back as well. But if you look at 3-down NFL players, what do we play? 55 to 75 snaps a season. So I'm looking at anything over 900 snaps on the year. Okay. Out of those dozen players that I just told you about, only 4 of them actually played over 935 snaps on the year. Jack Campbell, Deion Henley, Fred Warner, Zach Bond. That's it. Everyone else is kind of volume expendable. You could punt those guys in the later rounds, and I've proved it in these drafts. So get your elite guys first if you can, is my strategy. Have some fail-safes in there. Have some guys that can run and pass. I'll tell you a cheat code in a format like this. Caden Ellis, Frankie Lavu. Frankie Lavu's a linebacker, but he had the most passing attempts last year in that Commanders defense. Get guys like that, and you'll be generally happy because you're not going to hit every week on the sack, but at least you'll have some solid linebackers to catch you. So that's my rationale. Anybody else see it different? Anybody else have a different way of going about it?
I have a question. I guess one for anyone who has questions as well is like, are there rookies in this tournament? And if so, when or do you start to take chances on these rookies? Let's say like Abdul-Carter or something like that. Is that someone that you're going to try to get cute with and make a bet on comparison to all this?
That's an excellent question. So I actually wrote an article, and it's an evergreen now. I wrote the age cliffs for positions because just like running back, wide receivers, there's an age cliff on defense. Generally, you want those guys a little older. Like defensive tackle, you want to wait a long time on those guys, right? Safeties, you can get them younger. On edge, it kind of takes those guys a little while to peak, like 26, 28, and so forth. Now, I will argue the first player in every draft, the Will Andersons, the Aiden Hutchinsons, the first elite edge, the Abdul-Carters, those guys are the truth. Those guys will, exceed all expectations. But to answer your question, just like going to a car lot, I want to test drive the car. I'd rather the veteran in that spot than the Abdul-Carter. So yeah, his ADP right now, let's see, where is Abdul-Carter at? It's a little rich for my blood. He's at 28. That kind of scares me. He's going around players like Rasu that are proven. He's going around players like Josh Allen, who I sneak up to grab. People forget about Josh Allen. He had a monster season, over 15 sacks like 2 years ago, So there's a lot of players within that window, Nick Bonito, that I'd rather have over a rookie because we just don't know. It's like that Family Guy episode. You guys watch Family Guy?
The mystery box. Yeah.
The mystery box. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to get here because not every rookie superstar is gonna pop. I'm a little bit older than you guys. I remember a guy, Vernon Golson. He had all the metrics, didn't do anything. Javon Clowney took a couple years to hit. So I'm actually punting the rookies. Thank you for saying that. Unless people don't like to play cornerback, right? People hate corners. They hate them because they're too fluky. I don't. I love corner. You just got to know team schemes. If the team's only playing two linebackers, that corner comes down and cheats down. He's a free linebacker.
Yeah.
Rookie cornerbacks. Here's a trick if you're playing IDP. Rookie cornerbacks, they get picked on, don't they? Hell.
That means a lot of tackles. Yeah.
Sauce Gardner got picked on the first 4 or 5 games. Cooper DeJean, same thing. They'll get picked on the first 4 or 5 games. I don't mind drafting them in something like that. But then I'm quickly off them. I'm quickly cashing in. I'm quickly trying to trade. So don't be surprised if there's spike weeks with those players. But I'm trying to look for an overall, trying to look for a baseline. So for me, Jamie seen the draft I did the other day. I came up early. I got the Daniel Henner, the Josh Allens. Verse kind of dipped because we're all kind of a little bit, we're not sure there. I got him in the second. And then I got players like Jordan Brooks, Bobby Wagner, Jermaine Sherwood. There's a lot of linebackers if you just wait because we're only playing the top 60. So that's another good point. There's a lot of guys that, they don't get any love or they don't have the stats. But there's a lot of guys that will show up in a draft like this and they'll win you weeks. Guys like Josie Jewell, Jordan Brooks, I said at 40, Nakobe Dean at 49. You want to maximize your value in this draft? Wait till later on. Levante David, 51. Bobby Wagner, ADP 60. The only problem with these guys, they're older. There's a bunch of agists out there. I want to find out who they are because I'm 45. There's a bunch of agists out there. They don't think these guys can play anymore. You can get those guys at the end of your draft and just set it and forget it like this best ball tournament's intended to be. But that's all I got. I mean, I'm still experimenting like you guys. I'm still in the process and tweaking it. But right now, I'm going DL heavy if I can. Linebackers in the middle. And that last round, if I can get a Branch Hamilton, if there's no one else around there, around the Cody Barton ADP, then I'll take it. I won't punt a player. I won't punt a player just because people or consensus are telling me. But yeah, I'm not afraid of them, but I'm not going out of my way to draft them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. Again, it's not the player, it's the ADP a lot of times on there. And and I love what you said about scheme. And it's interesting seeing the difference between IDP and like Dynasty's my home where I'm from in there. I've slowly adjusted to where I'm in startups. And I see guys who are drafting people that Sleeper doesn't even have in their system. We don't even know if the NFL is going to draft these guys. Well, I really like this tape. And I'm like, buddy, I have nothing that tells me that he is going to get more touches than, and I know we hate him, than Jahan Dotson. I'm talking about the end of a draft type thing where it's just I'm going to draft Jahan Dotson. I'm not drafting him to with the intention of starting him. But if something happens, let's say we actually saw that Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, something gets hurt, then he's going to move up or something. Whereas this rookie running back from who knows state, let's one who I got burned with last year, Dylan Laube. Laube. Yeah, dude, I got crushed by Dylan Laube. And I'm just never again. I could have had almost any other player. Almost any other player was touching the field. Literally that whole backfield died and they looked at Dylan Laube and said, not today. It's just
didn't he fumble on his first ever NFL touch?
Carry. Yeah, his first carry. And then it was Shadow Realm from then on. And it's just that. And I like that IDP is at least smart enough to understand. It's and it's true, man. Defense is hard. You got to understand schemes. You don't always have a quarterback that is going to adjust and tell you where to go, and you need to make adjustments mid-play on the fly to your coverage if you got help or not. And understanding that is what will give you the advantage. But moreover, the players need to understand how that works, and that takes time sometimes. It's just like, and it's like you said, I remember Jadeveon Clowney. I remember his draft stock. I watched the game, the helmet, the famous helmet. I'm like, well, he's a first round pick. And I'm like, that was a tackle. That was fun. A helmet flew off, but like, it was kind of wild how quickly he went up. And think about Tavon Walker, someone else who went, he was the first DL taken. Where's he at now? You know?
Again, like we were saying earlier, right? DB 20 to DB 46, a difference of 1.2 points per game. Linebacker, that's like going to be 10, 15 points a game. And you already know, what would that be? Elite defensive lineman. That's the difference between a Van Ginkel to a Rip Van Winkle. You know what I mean? Like, it's good. The drop off is there. Position scarcity is a real thing in IDP. So you just got to know when to hold them, when know when to fold them, you know?
Yep.
Now, I will say this, 3 down linebackers, they're gold, but you don't need an elite one. Like I said, last year, 11 out of top 24, they hit from the season before. So that's a 49% hit rate if you know what you're doing, but you don't need an elite one. And I'll take that to my grave, my friends.
So what about like Fred Warner? Like, I call him the Terminator on here. It's like, is he one? Like, are you counting him as one, or are you just like, I'm going to let someone else get Fred Warner and I'm going to get like Robert Spillane or something later?
Well, like Jamie did, he took Fred Warner and he didn't even think twice. He didn't blink. He's like, these guys are punting them all. You know, my rationale is this: if I can get an elite defensive lineman, I'm doing it. But if my whole draft goes to crap, I don't mind pivoting and then trying to get cute with my deals later. My reasoning is there's a huge drop off between elite edge to the next guy up. You know, in regular drafts, regular combo leagues, you could punt a defensive end two till like the end of drafts. You can probably even stream them a lot of times. You're not going to get, you know, a Myles Garrett off waivers. It's just not going to happen. You know, you might see that once a decade or something, you know what I mean? But yeah, people know who these players are. PFF and metrics, that they geek out. And that's another thing. I was talking in another chat. PFF metrics are great. I'm not really basing my decision-making on this format, because if you're on the bench, you're not scoring me anything. There's no point in that. I need volume. I'm staying away from new coaches, guys. I'm staying away from new defensive schemes because I can't call it. I don't know what it's going to look like. Give me the Myles Garrett who's been in the same system, right? Give me those kind of guys, but they make me a little bit nervous. I'm a little hesitant. But, you know, no guts, no glory. Mentioned it earlier, $50 on the promo code Hunter. You get 10. What you get if you put $10 fast draft? Do the promo code. You get 10 shots at this tournament. Take a shot at it, right?
Now, for fast draft in the future, do you guys ever plan on doing any just non-tournament styles where you could just have like 10 people in one of the leagues, and whoever scores the most points gets the chunk of the money?
That is a Matt Kelly question on there, because I'm on the content side of that on there. But like, I'm assuming yes, you know, because like we even have like the free Flex 4 and stuff like that, just to get people using it, you know, because like, and that's something that I think we do well, where a lot of times you're like, well, I don't want to download a new app, drop $100 in there, and I don't know what the hell is going to happen. So like the fact that you can go in there and just poke around a little bit is nice. And I'm like, to me, I'm sure that's coming, because another thing we want to do is, just like you said, like Underdog has like the puppies and a lot of these shorter things. Kind of want to emulate that too, that like if you missed out on Origins, you know, that you get another option. That's something else that's going to be on the pipeline. So
awesome.
I don't have anything else. You guys have been wonderful. Any closing thoughts for either one of you guys?
Yeah, I mean, if slow drafts drive you crazy, man, just why not speed them up? Like fast draft takes 5 minutes each draft. It's awesome.
Love it.
So you get like more drafts, like fast drafts, the rookies, the IDPs, like you name it. Like fast draft is the best. I love it.
Especially with redraft, like Dynasty slow draft's different because you could trade up, trade stuff like that. Redraft, like let's just wrap this up. Let's get it done. You know? It's like, I got a fiance who wants to watch TV right now. You know?
Like I'll sit there. It takes like over an hour to do like a 18, 20 round draft. And even those slow drafts takes 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's always that guy. You're a pick. He's always in front of you. You know what I mean? I'm like waiting 8 hours for this guy. And where's he at? Japan to make his one pick. And the rest of the draft moves just fine. Drives me crazy.
My favorite is, I'm gonna let this sit on the clock if anyone wants to trade up. It's just
I hate that.
Oh my god, dude!
Yeah. I play in this league with these guys from Buffalo, and you know how Yankees are, they're all animated. I'm a Yankee, so I can say it right. And they told me the best value is right when you're on the clock. I'm like, bull crap. Plan your life, plan ahead. You know, I get so frustrated because I think I'm getting ready to move, and then they don't trade them. They sit on it, don't they? They just want the attention.
So, but yeah, this has been fun.
It's been
fun.
great.
Thanks
for coming on with us.
And I actually learned a lot. Like I said, like I've tried to start an IDP dynasty league and getting people in, because it's either one, IDP guys don't want to use sleeper, and then the sleeper guys don't want to do IDP. So I'm just like stuck in the middle. Like, anyone want to play with me? You know,
I converted everything to sleeper, but I am morphing to MFL because they can do a lot more things. But you're right. Sleeper IDP guys are different than the MFL guys. Some of these guys are extreme. Like, I don't know if you remember the movie The Program.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You ever see that scene where the guy's like, place at the table? I'm like, that's IDP community for you. They're a different breed of.
Yeah, I got one in there, and like when IDP's in your handle on sleeper, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I'm ready for this. You know, he's like picking apart my scoring, and I'm like, buddy, I just figured this out yesterday. I need you to like slow down a little bit.
Jamie, I just want to pay you a compliment. I love doing these with you because I like offense just as good as the next guy. Just so happens IDP's kind of niche, so they pay us to do that and all that stuff. But I love jamming out with you guys, talking a little strategies and what have you. Tell the audience where they can find you guys. What are you guys working on this offseason?
Right now, I'm just doing a Dynasty podcast over at the Fancy Six Pack every Wednesday night, 9:30 Eastern time. We do a live show.
Yep. Me, I'm said the Fast Draft channel. If you go over to YouTube, just look up Fast Draft. Whatever video you see my stupid face, that's the right one. And then Unbinged, if you're just not into the sports, or you're into sports. If you're on an IDP channel, like you're into football, let's put it that way. But if you like other stuff like TV, like we're covering The Last of Us, whatever nerdy stuff, I'm over at Unbinged with Alfredo Brown. So
I'll be checking that out. I'm interested. Last thing I'm going to plug, and I'm going to let you guys go. Over at the Fancy Six Pack, we have a rookie profile magazine. They did over 300 players. Jamie's doing it with me. Same thing with CK. Over 200 IDP players. And I did a lot of interviews the last month on some of these guys, late round draft heroes, guys that are like mid round. So if you guys want to learn IDP or just, I don't know how you are. I like to read profiles. Check it out. But this has been the IDP Hunter podcast, and I appreciate you guys spending your time and listening to this. Y'all have a great day. Take care and talk hard.